Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jonah from Discover, and today we are going to be talking to Kaye Putnam. Kaye, how are you doing?
I'm doing so good today. I am so excited. Thank you so much for having me here today.
We are so excited to have you. I know we did one event in the past and it was awesome. We dove into like branding and how to work through it in such a natural and beautiful way that stays true to yourself. I did just want to call out real quick for everyone, if you enjoy today's event or if you're interested in branding and more that Kaye does, go head over to our YouTube channel and or search Kaye at Kaye Putnam at Discover Teachable, and you'll see that other event. It was a total blast. Just wanted to call that out before we get started because it's there and super worth watching. And for everyone watching today, please hop in the comments. Let us know if you can hear us, if you can see us all right, where you're tuning in from, something you're excited to learn, how you heard about Kaye, how you heard about Discover. Use those comments as a discussion place, a place to ask questions, engage. We love having you present and active during the event. And feel free to ask any questions, like I said, during the event. And we are not ignoring you if we don't answer them right away. We have set aside a Q&A period after Kaye's presentation where we will get to all those questions. So we'll try and get to them all. If it seems like we missed yours, pop it in there again, and we will make sure to get to all of those questions in the Q&A. And if life happens around you, you have to get up, the dog comes in the room, you get a call, don't fret. All of this will be available on a replay. It'll be here on the YouTube page if you're watching there, on the Discover event page if you're watching there. It'll also be emailed to you along with the course offer, which we'll get into a little later. Just wanted to call out quick, Evelyn tuning in from Belfast, Northern Ireland. That is awesome. Made famous recently by Ken. I love that. Well, thank you for joining us, Evelyn. And just to make sure everyone's in the right place, like I said, we are talking to Kaye Putnam, and the event today is List Full of Leads. Kaye is going to walk us through what you need to know in order to start growing your email list to generate qualified leads. She will take you behind the scenes of her own quiz that has been taken 200,000 plus times, resulting in over 100,000 email leads. And it's also generated over $130,000 in course sales in the last 12 months alone, which is crazy. And I want to dive in. I'm so excited to get into this. So, Kaye, I'm going to hand it over to you. If you can introduce yourself, and we'll get right into the presentation.
All right. Thank you so much, Jonah. I am so thrilled to be here. Teaching live is my absolute favorite thing to do. It is in my zone of genius, and we are going to cover a lot. So I do recommend, whether you're here live with us or if you're watching the replay, no matter where you're watching, tune out all of those distractions. This is a free class, but it is important to invest your time to get the maximum amount of results, because I'm going to be sharing some really amazing tools, perspectives, and ways of thinking about lead generation that may or may not just change your business. And I do not say that lightly. Alrighty, let's dive into List Full of Leads. I'm going to be sharing my number one strategy to grow your email list with not just warm bodies, but with people who are interested in what you sell, who are primed to become a student or a client or a customer of yours, and how I've been doing that really successfully over the last many, many years. And I am not against some ethical bribing to get you to stick around so that you can learn this information that could potentially transform your business. I'll be sharing 2 exclusive freebies at the end of this class. I'll announce what they are. And all you have to do is just stay here and learn and have fun, because we love to geek out about all things brand building, business, entrepreneurship here in my orbit. Let's do this thing. Like Jonah mentioned, we will be doing a Q&A right at the end. So I will be thrilled to garner all of your questions. Even if you're watching the replay, wherever you're watching it, type in a comment and I will be revisiting those later to answer any of your questions. All right, so type yes into the chat if you've ever been told that you need to grow your email list. Like I said in the promo video for this event, if you actually grew your email list every time that somebody told you that you should, you probably wouldn't have to be here in this class today because you'd have a massive list, right? And I know that you've probably tried, or maybe you're just getting started and you're super smart and you're here and you're going to learn one of the most powerful ways to do that. Tap yourself on the back. But for a lot of us, we've been around the block. We've been trying all of the things that different people have been recommending. Problem is, a lot of those strategies are stuck in the 2010s, or they just don't connect the dots and create the results that they used to create. So we are going to introduce something new. But before we do that, maybe one of these things sounds familiar. So when you're just getting started and people tell you to grow your list, one of the pieces of advice that they might give you is to reach out into your current network. Create a list of your family, your friends, your past network, and invite them directly. Now, this is great because you get people who do know, like, and trust you already, and they are likely to do you a favor, to join your list. Problem is, most of us don't have thousands and thousands of people in our network, and Uncle Albert may not be buying whatever you are selling, right? So it's not the most scalable or efficient way of getting to our end goal. Maybe after that, you got smart and you figured out, well, everybody else is growing their list. Let me see how they are doing it. And you signed up for all of the things, all of the checklists, all of the mini classes, all of the free challenges, so that you could dissect and figure out what was going on behind the scenes. And this is fine. And this might garner some really great ideas. However, it can result in 0 people on your own email list and just a very cluttered inbox otherwise. And if you're anything like me, cluttered inboxes are not conducive to the work that we want to do, right? Or maybe you started to get even smarter and you decided that you wanted to provide value to people and you started creating some of your own checklists, mini guides, swipe files, all of these different things that people can download. But you found that they tended to work less often than you'd like. So not as many people as you'd like were really excited to get whatever PDF or thing that you were promising them. And that you were on this constant hamster wheel of creating content upgrade after lead magnet after lead magnet. And it was working, but it is slow. And it created a lot of to-do lists or to-do tasks on your list. Maybe you're way braver than I am, and you are joining the new era of entrepreneurs who are lip syncing and dancing their way to fame and fortune on TikTok and Instagram. I bow down to you. I do not have those skills, but I do know that from my own marketing efforts on Instagram, it can be really difficult to translate that into actual list building. It's difficult to get people off of that platform and onto your email list, especially if you don't have millions of followers or have that one video that goes viral, right? Or maybe you're impatient, like I've been in the past, and you figured you would just throw money at the problem. Like, I'm going to set up Facebook ads. I'm going to get this offer in front of as many people as humanly possible and see what happens. But it feels like you're lighting the funds, your investment in those ads on fire. I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about what I've seen in terms of ad costs here in a little bit. Maybe you work in the energetic realm and you've just been putting that massive, big, audacious goal on your vision board, but you keep putting it back on every year to get that 10K email list or 100K email list. But it isn't manifesting into your actual email software. Let's commiserate with each other in the chat. What is the worst strategy that you've tried so far to grow your email list? I've had some doozies and I continue to experiment and see lackluster results with a lot of these strategies that I just shared. But I'd love to hear what your experience has been as well. So in a couple of words, what have you tried that hasn't worked as well as you hoped or was promised? Chances are at this point, you are saying to yourself, or probably thinking to yourself, there has got to be a better way. Spoiler alert, since we already talked about these stats, there is. And it's a elegant, evergreen strategy that grows your list every single day. And it's just one system to create. It's not just one PDF, right? It's a little bit more complicated than that. And I'm going to teach you that in part 4 of our class today. But it's just one-time setup. And then it continues to work for you over time if you do it in the way that I'm about to teach you. So we have attracted over 100,000 leads to our email list, which is converted into over $100,000 directly in course sales. And that's being really conservative and really limiting which part of our revenue that we're allocating or saying that is correlated to the quiz. In reality, it's quite a bit more than that, because every single client or course student of mine has come through my quiz that I've talked to. I have yet to find somebody who buys anything from me who hasn't first taken my quiz. And then for those of you that have done Facebook ads in the past, this number, at least in the industry that I operate in, is pretty mind-blowing for me. I have done a lot of other ad strategies for guides, for free challenges, direct to webinar, all of these different things that people say should work. For guides, I've paid upwards of $5 to $8 per lead for a PDF to a cold audience. For direct to webinar, I have paid $15, $20, even $25 to get a cold audience to sign up for my webinars. Same story for free challenges. Those have roughly been in the $10 range in recent history. I have a very competitive industry. Yours may be different, but take note of the ratios here or the comparison. Whenever I'm advertising my quiz to cold audiences, I'm paying less than $2 per lead. And again, I'm being conservative because I don't want to overpromise or oversell this, but oftentimes my leads are even less than $1 per lead, which is bananas. And if you've been in my orbit for any length of time, chances are you've taken this quiz that we've been talking about. It's a brand personality quiz that helps you identify your top brand archetype, to connect with your ideal clients on a subconscious and emotional level. And like Jonah mentioned, it's been taken over 200,000 times. Now, if you're a high fact finder and very particular about details, you'll notice that on my website, it may say that it's been taken over 100,000 times. It's because I had to stop updating it because it continues to grow again and again and again. All right. I got lucky, to be honest. I stumbled on this idea of a lead generation quiz really early in my career. It launched in 2013. However, when it first launched in 2013, I did some things right. I did some things well, but it's been a journey to increase the conversions, to improve and optimize this over time. And what I'm teaching you today is basically a whole new version of it. It's this accumulation of 9 years of quiz experience. But the beautiful thing is I created the bones of it, the basics of it, in 2013. And to this day, it continues to be the top lead generation for my course business. I used it successfully to sell agency services, one-on-one services, and it continues to work and it continues to get better. And this is possible for you as well when you build a quiz in the way that I suggest. What we're going to cover for today is if a quiz could actually work for you and your industry, how to pick a quiz topic, and some details to make sure that you're including in there, and some frames of how to think about your quiz topic to make sure you have the right one. The top mistakes that some quiz creators make when you're in the business of generating leads. And then lastly, what needs to happen after somebody takes a quiz to maximize your ROI. And if we haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Kaye Putnam. I'm the psychology-driven brand strategist. I actually hesitated and didn't want to sell or create this course for a really long time because I'm the brand strategist. Who am I to talk about quizzes? But it's been the top requested intel from my audience for years now. And like I said, I've really perfected this system over the years. So it was time. I'm ready. I needed to bring this and share this with you because I know how transformational it can be for your business. I am obsessed with the magic of business and with entrepreneurs because I believe that true wealth is the ability to create your own reality. When my kids barge in the door in about 45 minutes, you may hear them, they've been instructed to be quiet, but typically I'm there to welcome them. Or if I want to go and have a killer leg day before I do any work, I can do that at 9 a.m., 10 a.m. We get to create the life that we want to live in when we are leaning into entrepreneurship and bringing our unique genius to the world. So I get to, through this presentation or through any other work that we do together, help you package up that unique genius and bring it to the world in a little bit more powerful way. The whole world gets better. So thank you for being here. I hope you can feel just my admiration for you as an entrepreneur. I am so honored to be in this space, teaching and being with you today. Our first section is maybe you're asking yourself, is a quiz right for my business? I have a very serious business, or I have a X, Y, and Z business. It's much different from yours, Kaye. How possibly could this work for me? And let's take a look at a few different spaces, some common spaces. Maybe you recognize some of these people and some of their names, but if you are in the course creation business, which chances are because you're here through Teachable, probably a lot of you are, or in the expert economy that's growing exponentially, or if you are some type of consultant, this work is incredible. We're going to talk a little bit more about how it can benefit you and how it can become a real asset for your brand in our second section. But I'm sure that you've seen some of these entrepreneurs in the past and have some idea of how successful they are. And all of them have a quiz. But you don't have to be selling courses or selling information. You could be selling physical products or even software, things that don't have maybe like a face, a personal brand behind them. Absolutely can leverage this strategy as well. It tends to shift a little bit more towards product selection, but I'm going to talk about how to maximize the results even in that context. But brands like Dollar Shave Club, Warby Parker, Glossier, and countless others have hopped onto the quiz train and are seeing incredible results. And finally, even if you don't have a product or an information product, anything like that, you're literally working with clients one-on-one, you can still use this strategy to great effect. So massive brands like Charles Schwab has a modern wealth quiz. And then one client that I personally worked with to help her bring her quiz to life was Greenville, South Carolina Boudoir. And she created, what is your seductive boudoir persona? But whether you're in finance or design, or if you are a housekeeper, literally any type of service could also utilize a quiz. So this was the long route to say that yes, most likely a quiz could work really well for your business. And the reason is we're all selling to humans. And when we can appeal to people on a human level and give the world something that is universally desirable, which is relevant, personalized information that is useful to us, then people are going to love it. So this was a stat that came directly from the quiz platform that I use, which is called Interact. There's lots of other options. You don't necessarily have to use the one that I use, but they have done some studies that across every industry, and yes, some industries have slightly higher results than others, but across every industry that has a quiz set up that is active on their platform, so it's generating at least 10 leads per month, I think was their criteria. 40% of people who start one turns into a lead. So is that 1 in 4? I'm terrible with mental math. We'll just stick with the 40%, right? 40% of people who start, 4 in 10, there we go. 4 people in every 10 become somebody that's on your email list that you can then deepen the relationship with, that you can invite into your paid courses, products, or services. And that is powerful. Even for the ones that don't become leads, 65% finish the quiz, meaning they had at least a positive touch point, a positive experience with your brand, that maybe you have some opportunities, either through retargeting or they just stumble across your brand later. They already have at least this one positive experience with you. So even then, it's a really significant statistic. Now that you are properly convinced that this is possible for you and that it's something that you want to try, let's talk about choosing your quiz topic. Chat with each other in the chat. Have any of you ever taken one of these popular assessments or quizzes before? I'm guessing yes. And we're going to use this as a bit of a reverse teaching tool. You're going to teach yourself about how to pick a very effective quiz topic. So let's think about these popular quizzes that are out there: MBTI, DISC, Colby, Enneagram, Human Design. I've taken them all. I am a quiz aficionado. But ask yourself, why do we like them? Why do we have a positive experience with these quizzes? What emotional triggers are they hitting with us that make them so effective and make them so widely popular? When I thought about that question, the answers were because it's about me and I'm interested in myself. But psychology and studies have actually shown that's not the whole picture. It's not that we're narcissistic and we just want to be about me all of the time. We do want relevant information. We don't want to consume information that isn't for us or isn't applicable to our lives. So there is a filter, and we do enjoy people complimenting us and empowering us or helping us make decisions, being useful to us. So that's huge. But we also desire to be seen and to be understood. A lot of us feel a disconnect, and we recognize at an early age that our brain or our way of doing things or our way of looking at the world isn't exactly the same as everybody else out there. So we desperately want people to recognize us, to see us. And the benefit after that, so like if we feel seen and understood, we can now adopt a language. Quizzes can give us the tools to actually explain ourselves or to make decisions or to navigate the world in a more effective way. All of these are why we love these highly effective quizzes. Plus, if you've ever taken a quiz at the back of a magazine or on BuzzFeed, the interface is fun. It's kind of like a surprise. It's almost like a slot machine of like, what question is going to come up next? What's it going to make me think of? And maybe there's some entertainment factor in there as well. So as you're thinking about what topic that you are going to create a quiz around, keep that in the back of your mind to make sure that you're hitting all of those buttons. Is your quiz going to tell somebody something useful? Are you going to celebrate them in some way? Are you going to affirm or empower or just highlight a strength of theirs that is going to make them excited to come back for more? Maybe you're going to help them understand or articulate something about themselves that they've never even really realized or hadn't drilled down to that level of detail. And when you're brainstorming topics, after you have that frame of reference in the back of your mind, these are some of the questions that I recommend that you use as brainstorming tools. First of all, what is a complex question that somebody asks you all of the time that doesn't just have a yes or no answer, but it has maybe 3 different answers or 4 different routes that somebody could take from that single complex question? And again, we want it to be something that would almost require sitting down with somebody for like a long conversation to figure out for them, because we want to have to ask them multiple questions to get to the best outcome. So what's a complex, hairy question that you can answer for people related to your business? Semi-related, but maybe you can help somebody decide their next step or a strategy that they should use, some action that they should take. Maybe you're helping somebody decide what their morning rituals are going to be, or which social media platform they should be on, or what diet works for their temperament. There's all sorts of different decisions that we're making all of the time. And if you can help with your expertise to answer that question more definitively, people appreciate that. Or finally, think about all of the people that you serve, all of the students or customers or clients, and start to notice what they have in common. Maybe they have common personality attributes. Maybe they lean towards specific values. So like some people really value freedom. Other people value being really successful. Other people value having a community of support and that heart-based thing. So what is it that defines your ideal clients? And to start separating them into different types or different tendencies, different strengths, or different styles. And then kind of our bonus question, I should have this as a bullet point on here, but it's to think about, what do you want to sell after the quiz? So if we're enticing people in, we're inviting people into our world with the quiz, it's the doorway that people are stepping through. After the quiz is done, what's going to be this signature offer or course or thing that you want to sell to them? We want to make sure that the quiz topic is aligned with ultimately what you want to sell to them. It needs to make logical sense. The quiz is the first step. It's the awareness piece. And then what are they going to do with that awareness? What investment should they make to maximize that awareness? And then pro tip, because quizzes are almost too much fun in a way, we want to make sure that we are qualifying, we're attracting only the right people to our quiz. And the way that we do this is through keywords. Now, this isn't going to be super granular, but the way that we want to do this is we either want to include a identifier of who our ideal client is. So if we work with moms, you're going to want to include that word mom in your quiz title. It's like, what's your mom's strength? What's your mom parenting or motherly parenting style? Using that word, make sure that people who aren't parents aren't going to be attracted, or people who just are outside of your ideal clients won't take the quiz. For me, I used the second one. I named my niche. My quiz is a brand personality quiz. So only people with brands are going to be interested in taking my quiz. If I had just called it the personality quiz, I would have attracted too many people. Finally, the last way you can do this is you can call out an outcome. So maybe people desire wealth, like that Charles Schwab quiz. So you could have it be the modern wealth quiz. I think you're seeing how this is working. You are smart humans. Even for those of you that maybe have already tried a quiz and it hasn't quite worked, it's probably because of one of these mistakes that I'm about to share with you. Or if you haven't yet done this strategy and you're about to implement it, you're going to want to stay away from these mistakes so that you get the maximum benefit from the quiz. We don't want to create the wrong type of quiz. And one of the most common mistakes that I see is that people ask a binary question. Are you healthy? Are you not? Are you ready to start your business or are you not? How healthy are you? Not healthy at all, kind of healthy, really healthy. Those types of scales and assessments don't do what we want them to do as a top of funnel lead generation tool. Here's why. If somebody gets a really low score, no, you're not healthy. No, you're not ready to start a business. They're going to feel really bad about that. Like nobody wants to get the D or the E in school. And we don't want to get that answer on our quiz or in this experience that we're having with this brand new brand that we've never encountered before. It's really important that the answers and the outcomes of your quiz are positive. Also, if somebody gets the top score, maybe they're amazing. Maybe they're like off the charts in terms of how healthy they are. Their next reaction is going to be, great, thanks for the validation. I don't need to work with you. So at both ends of the spectrum, it's not fantastic. It's better to have more of this style or type or strategy where there's no wrong answer out of all of the different outcomes. Nobody's going to be sad that they got one over the other. They're just going to see themselves in it. Next is what we talked about in that bonus point for choosing your topic. If you are selling a course about how to nourish your dog, like one of my clients is, hat tip to my great client, Susan. And her course, Nourish, teaches you how to literally feed nutritious food to your dog, but also to cultivate a relationship and to nourish the bond that you have between you and your pet, among other things. She's an amazing veterinary herbalist. If she were creating a quiz, it would not make sense for her to create what Disney princess is your dog. Now, that might be highly engaging. That might drive a ton of traffic, but it's not ultimately going to lead into her product. So having something that feels a little bit more serious is a whole lot more effective because people are going to be closer to the sale. They're already thinking about their dog's nutrition. If you ask or create some type of profile or style or needs analysis of the pet based on the questions on the quiz. Also, this is a pet peeve of mine. I hate when I'm going through quizzes and they basically just ask me the same question 5 different times. So like, are you an entrepreneur? Yes. Are you an entrepreneur? Yes. Are you an entrepreneur? Yes. And then you get to the end of the quiz and it's like, you are the entrepreneur. So here's what to do. And I'm like, okay, thanks, Sherlock. That's amazing. We don't want to be that obvious. So one of the most common mistakes that I see is that the correlation is just too obvious. So you want to make sure that you're varying up the language, that you're varying up the number of answers there are for each question, and you're just generally enjoying a little sleight of hand in this whole quiz experience so that when you get to the end, it's a little bit more surprising. Another example, similar to the dog example, it might be entertaining to talk about what Spotify playlist is going to motivate you, but it's going to be much more closely connected to the sale to talk about the legal protection that you can help somebody install into their business. And finally, which we're going to expand on in our next section, is what happens after the quiz. You don't want to just dump somebody into their result. We humans are very distracted these days. And if we get to the end of those results and we get our outcome and we're like, okay, that's cool. And we read through it and we just see it. And then we're like, ooh, squirrel. Ooh, there's new posts. Somebody liked my post. Like something happened. We need to make sure that we are developing the relationship after the quiz. And the way that we do this is by offering something of value that is related to the outcome. Also, by asking for the email address before we deliver the outcome tends to work really well. Make sure that you're doing this, that you aren't just having a quiz that's fun to take and that people forget and they move on immediately. We want to actually build this whole flow to build the know, like, and trust factor, the relationship that we have with people. Ouch. Bumped my elbow. So let's talk about that. How do we convert somebody from just this casual, curious person who took a quiz to somebody who might be interested in what we are selling? And it's not through the option on the left, right? Like we can just sign up for some quiz platform and they have templates already in there. And we're like, sweet, I can just like use this and put it on my website and I'll be good to go. Well, that's not the most strategic way of creating a quiz. The better way is to think about the quiz in phases. And there's 3 phases that I'm about to introduce to you, because it's part of a larger journey. Like I mentioned before, the quiz is just the doorway that somebody walks through. What are they walking into after? Here are the 3 phases. So if you are taking notes as we're going along, and I hope that you are, scratch down some of your ideas for what you're going to do at each of these 3 phases. First one being, what is your promotion plan? And ideally, if you want to have an evergreen lead generating quiz that is going to stay with you and continue to create results and build momentum over years, not minutes or months, then you're going to want a continuous traffic plan. For me, I'll share what's worked the best. I have done lots of different things to try to promote my quiz. The most effective have been OPA, what I lovingly call OPA, other people's audiences. So being interviewed on podcasts, partnering with Teachable, doing things that get me exposed to new audiences where I can introduce them to the quiz. They come over to my world if they're interested, they take the quiz, and then they're now part of my orbit, part of my ecosystem. So OPA is really powerful. And the quiz itself is extremely valuable. So people with audiences will be happy, in most cases, to share the resource if it is legitimately helpful for people. Another strategy that has worked well for me, I know I mentioned that I'm kind of impatient and a little bit lazy, and the paid advertising traffic brings people onto my list every single day, but it is incredibly cost effective compared to other strategies that I've used with Facebook ads. Other options could be organic posts. So maybe adding a little hello bar to your website. It could be sending your existing email list the quiz and inviting them to share it with other people. It could be posting on whatever social media platforms that you're on. Lots and lots of opportunities. I've had clients who have put the link to their quiz on their business cards. Wherever your brand is coming into contact with new people for the very first time is a fantastic opportunity to invite them to your quiz. Second is to think about the quiz experience itself. The quiz that is built typically using a piece of software is just one small part of it. What really matters is what happens after the quiz. How are you going to knock the socks off of whoever just took your quiz with a lot of value? I'm going to share how I do that here in just one moment on the next slide. But our third phase to make the most successful quiz funnel possible is to think about the follow-up. And this kind of intersects what we were just talking about. But what incentive are you giving for people to sign up for your list after they take the quiz? Yes, if you're requiring it to get the result, that's one thing. But maybe you can provide even more resources. And then once you deliver value after value after value, maybe you then shift the conversation to like, okay, I know some of you aren't just looking for the free help. You want personalized help. You want a step-by-step process to implement this into your business. And I invite you to check out a free masterclass or a sales call, or however your sales process works. You can guide them from quiz into that invitation through a series of emails is what I would recommend. So here's what this looks like. We start with the quiz. I do tend to like to think about it in both directions. So I think about that topic from the front end, like what could this quiz be about? But then I also want to think about what are the, again, what's that course or offer at the end of it? And what are those different buckets that we're going to bring people in? How are they different from each other? How are they similar to each other? And maybe we can even create really complex and detailed and valuable pages on our website for each of those outcomes. Instead of just relying on this itty bitty little page that the quiz software itself tends to give us, if we can redirect back to our website, it has benefits in terms of Facebook ads, because then we can start to retarget website traffic, but it just gives us more opportunity to provide more value. Currently, and it's been an evolution, but my outcome pages have a Pinterest pin on it. They have a Pinterest like board that I curated for each of the archetypes. It has a lot of information. Here's your strengths, here's your weaknesses, and it has invitations into the next step. So like, you want the shortcut? Join the free masterclass. You can learn even more about archetypes. And then at the end of that free masterclass, it invites them into my paid course. So you can start to see how this is all stringing together. I also offer a free PDF for each of the archetypes. So once somebody gets to the end, they are invited to sign up for the email list. And if they do, they get a free PDF related to each of the archetypes. And then after that, we have that sequence of emails. Mine currently is 3 to 5 emails, depending on some conditional logic. I know I'm not like a massive nerd, but somewhere in the 3 to 5 range is ideal for leading into that first paid offer. And then we want to think about the promotion.
So what's going to be our mix? What's going to be our mix of paid promotion, OPA, other people's audiences, organic posts? How can we create content around this amazing brand experience that you just created?
I'm sure your wheels are like spinning like crazy. I hope that you got some aha moments and some tidbits that you are going to take and are just intrigued and now informed about how powerful this strategy can work, particularly for selling online courses, as I know a lot of us are doing here. Here's what we learned. It works for a multitude of industries, from e-commerce to informational products to one-on-one services. You can create a quiz. If you're selling to humans, humans like interactivity, they like relevant information. When we are choosing a topic, we're choosing that big, hairy question, and we're also thinking about what is going to be our offer after this quiz. The quiz doesn't live in a silo. It's really just the front door into the rest of your world. Make sure you avoid those mistakes of having something incredibly off topic, even if it's really entertaining. As business owners, we're not as interested in entertaining with our quiz. We want to inform with our quizzes as much as possible. We want them to be useful. And making sure that our quiz logic itself, so that our questions and answers aren't too predictable. All of those good things. And then finally, expand our thinking so that our quiz isn't just this standalone thing that we're adding onto our website. It's really this process that we're bringing people through so that we can build a relationship at scale with all of the people that take our quiz. We're going to get to Q&A in just a minute, but before we do, there are going to be some of you that are watching here, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, who are like, yes, this is amazing. I love it. But I want more details. Like I want the 32-minute training on how to pick my topic. And I want to see those emails that you send to people. And I want to see those like ads that have worked really well for you. Good news. I have a course that is available called Convert with a Quiz, where I do exactly that with you. I bring you and share all of the nitty-gritty details about how I've built each step of this process, including all of the actual emails, actual assets that are making this system work so beautifully, and how to incorporate it into your business, even if it's wildly different from what mine is. Module 1 is all about choosing your topic. Again, it's that 32-minute training. So where we covered the 5 minutes or 10 minutes here in this training, you get the expanded view with a lot of different mental models and brainstorming exercises to think through. Module 2 is how to write results that resonate with people. So once they get to the end of the quiz, how do we create that affirming, inspiring, celebratory language and structure to that outcome so that people are ready to take action? 3 is a little bit of that magical sleight of hand, how to create that engaging quiz experience that isn't predictable. 4 is all about building the entire funnel. So what elements need to go on those outcome pages? What are some ideas that you can use for your resource that you're going to entice people with to join your email list? What do the ads look like in emails? And then finally, what's your promotion plan? So we walk through some of the more of the things that have worked really well for me, other ideas that you can incorporate into your business based on what you have. I take you behind the scenes of the technology that I personally use. So I use a platform called Interact for my quiz. And then for my email automation, I use a platform called ActiveCampaign. You don't have to use the same technology stack that I do, but you do want to have a quiz platform that will accept or like present an email opt-in at the end, and ideally one that will redirect people from their result to a result page on your website to maximize this strategy. And then in your email software, you just need to have the ability to send automated sequences. I include 2 recorded Q&A calls, and then what to do with your quiz after you have it live and in the world, how to make it better and better and better over time. One student who took this Convert with a Quiz course said that this course is worth every dollar and every minute. She actually had 2 quizzes even before she started the course itself, and she had an epiphany moment about how they needed to be restructured to work even better for her in her business. Here's the nitty-gritty. So we have in-depth video lessons. There's an 80-page workbook. So highly detailed workbook with tons of ideas, tons of examples, tons of swipes so that you can use that to spur your thinking and your brainstorming. We created a bunch of templates for you for your ads or organic posts on Canva. And then, like I said, those 2 recorded sessions. Now, all of this, more testimonials on the screen there. All of this has the potential to massively impact your business. So imagine if you were just to sell a couple more courses or to book just one extra high-end one-on-one client, or to bring, increase your list size exponentially. I don't know where you guys are all starting at, but wherever you are right now, this has the potential to really and truly move the needle. I've seen it for myself, and I've seen it for all of my other clients that I've consulted with and students that have implemented it into their business as well. So $497 is the normal price for this. Even better news, if you act right now, it is listed at $297, and it's only going to be at this price for a limited time. So if you're here live, you can get this price right now, but in just a couple short days, the price is going to be going back up to the $497 full price. So if you want to get in, I recommend getting it in now. You do get lifetime access. So even if you are in a busy period in your business, you can get in now for the lower price, and you can return to the course whenever you would like to actually consume the content and implement this into your business. And just another excited human. And I love this one because it just goes to show it's not that you need to have all of these things already created or have a successful business already for this to work. It can be the strategy that you use when you first start building your list, no matter how small your list is. Boo, there's supposed to be a link here. I think I am able to just bop. No, actually, that's not going to work. Jonah, I'm going to switch my screen share really quick just to show what was supposed to be on here. Let's see if I can get this to work. So I'm going to stop that screen share. I'm driving now.
Yeah.
Just doing it live.
No problem. And I'll drop that link into the comments as well, so it is there for everybody.
Perfect. Okay. I'm going to share this screen. How do I make it show up for us now, Jonah?
I got you there.
All right. Okay. So here is where you get the bonuses that I'm about to tell you what they are. And we're about to go into Q&A as well. So this is what this page looks like. But just so you know, when you do click on the Enroll Now button, it'll bring you over to Teachable Discover and their beautiful page. You'll check out through this button, and then you get instant access. You get to jump into the course right away and have so much fun building your course experience. So that is that. And then finally, I'm just going to do that one last time. I'm going to stop the screen share so that we can come back and I can share what those exciting free bonuses are that you get for sticking around. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. This is why I love live trainings. Like you just get to improvise.
It's live.
I know we are truly live. So for being here, I'm so excited about these 2 bonuses that I created for you. One of them is just a simple checklist of all of the assets that you'll want to create when you're launching your course. So that'll be super useful. Just make sure you're not missing any of these important pieces. And then one that I think even more people are excited about is I curated a list of 123 quiz topics that you can use as inspiration to decide what your quiz is going to be about. So we have the money niche, we have coaching, we have business, relationships, e-commerce, and products. So there's ideas for pretty much every type of business on that resource. And Jonah gave you the link. It's kputnam.com/quiz-class-bonus. And at the top of the page, there's a link to download those. And that's all I have for you. We moved fast. I wanted to make sure that we had enough time for questions. So Jonah, I'm ready to answer any questions that we have.
Yeah, and so everyone watching, please drop your questions in the chat. It's been a super awesome chat. Everyone, also, I just have to say, Kaye, your audience is amazing. They're coming in here just saying your quizzes are awesome, that your courses have been fantastic. And so drop your questions in there, and I highly recommend going and downloading those bonuses. I was browsing through them a little before, and it is 123 awesome ideas for quizzes. I can already see the psychology, how it makes so much sense to get people involved. And I also just wanted to call out, and I want to make sure this doesn't sound like a backhanded compliment, but so many like email list strategies and stuff, you can build these. Like you can build lead magnets, you can do newsletters and all of this, but they rely so heavily on social media.
Yeah.
The fact that you are making so much money without millions of followers, that you are actually generating those leads. I've seen so many creators take so many approaches. I can't say how absolutely insane those numbers are for someone who's not in that multi-million of followers like position. So it's so cool to see an option that doesn't just at the end say like, and now become an influencer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. No,
So,
I don't think that's backhanded at all. I have a love-hate relationship with social media, and I wanted to divorce my strategy from it as much as possible. I mean, I like to play there as much as the next person, but if my business doesn't require Facebook or Instagram to exist to be viable, all the better. So thank you. I really appreciate you saying that.
yeah, and it just makes it actually accessible as a place to start for an email list. So I love it, and we're already getting questions in here. Last thing I wanted to say is those links also are in for anyone watching the replay or live with us. They're also in the comments for the course and in the description. And that discount is only there for 5 days, so take advantage of it while it's there. And let's dive in. We're getting some great questions here, and please keep dropping them in. We have at least 10 more minutes with Kaye here. So we're getting from Cassiopeia, how long does it generally take to build the quiz? And I know your quizzes are not a casual little quiz. If you're really doing all of these things, you have the links and the elements. So how long does that usually take to build a fully developed quiz that is checking off all of those things on your list?
Yeah, I would spend a solid, and I hesitate to say this because I don't want to scare anybody away, but I would spend a solid several weeks, like a month, to develop each of these pieces. Now, that's not working 8 hours a day on a quiz.
Right.
It's assuming that you have a life and that you're doing other things in your business. But there's actually several pieces that you want to have. You want to blow people away with the value that you're giving to them after the quiz. You want to spend some time writing those emails to people, and you want to spend some time being intentional about where you're going to show up and promote. So I would set aside your focus for a month, like your marketing focus, to be on building a quiz. But the beautiful thing about that, like we mentioned, is it's going to serve you for so long. It's really beautiful for people like me who I tend to work in energy cycles. I need to have systems that are working on my behalf, even when I don't feel like it. And I think a quiz is a beautiful example of that.
And do you change the quizzes over time? Do you play with different, or do you have duplicates of quizzes where you like A/B test things and aspects like that? I don't want you to give away too much of what's in the course, but is it a thing that just sits out there and lives, or are you morphing it and it's a living kind of entity?
So both. I've gone really long periods where I just let the quiz do its thing and bring people into my business. But every so often, usually about once a year, I get the itch to make it better, and we'll add certain things. So one year we redesigned the infographics that people can pin. One year we redesigned the outcome pages. It was really interesting creating Convert with a Quiz because I realized that the way I was doing things actually wasn't the most strategic in some of my little decision points, especially as I was going back and looking at the data. So I've made some changes on my quiz recently to make it work even better using what I teach in the course. So for example, we used to present 4 outcomes at the end of the quiz, but the problem with that is it did 2 things. First, it created some confusion. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm like, what does it mean if I'm 16% of one thing and 23% of another thing? But it also creates an extra click, and that always slows or it reduces conversions whenever we're asking people to do one extra thing. So
Right.
I've made some optimizations even recently. And I think it is a living, breathing thing that you can make better and better and better. But if
Yeah.
you at least catch up to what I've learned so far, you're going to like avoid a lot of the mistakes and the slowness of my early days with the quiz.
Right. And I can't remember if it was you during Discoverfest or another creator that said like confused customers don't purchase anything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that stuck with me so much. So yeah, I love that approach. We're getting so many questions here, so I'm just going to keep going through
Perfect.
here. Marjoline, I am so sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, but is asking, does the quiz also work if your audience is more like a corporate client rather than an individual? How do you do the more like B2B sales through a quiz?
Yes, yes, it does. Because at the end of the day, those CEOs, CTOs, CFOs, they're still human, but they do have different questions than the general public. So
Mm,
I would really sit with that topic selection of like, what's keeping them up at night? What do they need to decide? What like expertise do I have that they need, and convert that into a quiz as much as possible. So maybe they're figuring out their growth strategy for the next year, or maybe they're figuring out if a specific technology stack is right for their business. The average person isn't going to take your quiz because they don't care about those things, but the CEO or the CTO, the C-suite they do care about questions like that.
this is an occasion where it's actually true that companies are people, right? Where it's
Yes.
and we don't think of a CEO like sitting and doing internet quizzes, but they might, right?
I
They're
know they
probably,
might.
yeah, I love that. And just want to call out real quick here, Ursula just said, I just bought it. Super exciting. Ursula,
Yay.
thanks for taking the leap. I'm super, please hop in the comments. Let us know how that's going later on. We love hearing
Yes.
as students work through the courses. Um, Jackson CA2 is asking, in your course, I imagine, do you show us what you need to integrate with MailChimp or whatever, so those email funnels and everything? That was kind of a question I had too. In the course, do you get into all those external elements like the PDFs? I'm sure you're not walking through building a PDF, but how to make those email funnels and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I talk about exactly how I set mine up. I take you behind the scenes of my active campaign and the quiz platform that I use, Interact, and how they're linked together. So I make that really clear. I do teach from the tech stack that I use, so it might be slightly different
Right.
depending on which platform that you're using. So I will say that, but absolutely, I show you exactly like which options that I've selected to connect the 2 different platforms.
And usually with different platforms, it's just finding the button in a different place, right?
Exactly.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, love it. And let's keep going. We've got more questions. Evelyn is asking, great. Well, first, a great clarification of how to go about creating a quiz. Have to think seriously about your course. What is the deadline for your offer? Just wanted to call out again. That is 5 days for the Discover offer, but the course is available forever, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah. We're just going up from our special launch pricing here
Yep.
on February 15th, end of day is going to
Right.
be our deadline. Yeah.
And just wanted to call again, like you said, it's a lifetime offer, so you can hop in now, get to it when you want. But thank you for asking again, Evelyn. And then another question, Minding Your Business with Jody is asking, I think I missed this, but where does the quiz live? Is it on a website, social media, email blast? So the quiz itself, where's that living?
Yes. It is built using a platform, and there's a bunch of different options. It's embedded onto a web page on my site, partly because I, again, am using that Facebook ad strategy. So I want to trigger that Facebook pixel, and I can retarget and use that audience later. But it also
lets people, to an extent, navigate around, especially after they get through taking the quiz experience. I show you exactly how I set up my landing page because you want to minimize distractions as much as possible. You don't want it to be like a lot of links and a lot of branded material on that landing page necessarily, but it is advantageous to have it embedded on your website.
Awesome. And so please, folks, you can ask a couple more questions. We have a few more minutes here. I wanted to slip one in, which is a bit of a rhetorical question because I'm asking you to reiterate. But I know in these events, we work with so many creators who have all of this stuff together and it's already working. And for students, sometimes it can seem overwhelming as if you have to have all of these elements in place to do it. But you can, if you're a consultant, or even if you have a specialty, a music teacher, anything like this, you've seen results with these quizzes, even just for like services, if you're just getting started as well, right?
Yes, across the board. As long as you have some expertise to share, and I believe that we all do, I believe that we all have a unique genius in us, either from our skills or our story. It's essentially a prerequisite to be selling anything in the market. So if you have something to sell, you have the expertise to create a quiz. It's
Right.
really just helping people, but in a more streamlined isn't the right word, but it's in more of a hands-off, scalable way. Like you're taking what you know out of your brain and putting it into a quiz format that becomes really useful, and it becomes a valuable asset for your brand as well when you do it well.
And it's fun for people, right? That's the other highlight. I love it so much. Well, Kaye, I think we got to all the questions, but for everyone watching, if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, hop into the comments. We try and get back and answer all those questions. And Kaye, where can people reach out to you if they have any questions in the future?
Well, if you haven't yet, head over to kayeputnam.com and take the quiz so that you know what we're talking about. And from there, you'll find everything else that I do.
Love it, love it. And Kaye Putnam, are you most active on Instagram? Where's a cool place to just follow you and keep on with what you're doing?
Great question. Like I said, love-hate relationship with social.
Right.
I am most consistent actually on YouTube. So if you want more longer form educational content about branding, psychology, and entrepreneurship, I would follow my channel on YouTube.
Love it. Love it. Well, we're going to wrap up for today, but thank you everyone who's been here. You've been so active in the chat and just engaged. Clearly a lot of fans who know Kaye already and people who didn't. So thank you for showing up. However you got here, please hop in to the chat. Let Kaye know you appreciate her time and her expertise. It's been such a blast having you. And please, if you enjoyed today's event, like and subscribe to the Discover channel. We're consistently trying to bring folks like Kaye out here, entrepreneurs, artists, musicians, just to teach us all the many things we all want to learn as we become more rounded, well-rounded people. And before we wrap up, Kaye, I'd like to ask just kind of one last question. And I think what's so cool about this, like I said, is how much it's changed your business without necessarily like changing your entire lifestyle, or with the lifestyle you want as the focus. And this is a little bit of an offhand question, but like, what is your favorite way that this mechanism and this quiz thing, which you are now very known for, has changed your life and your business?
It's the peace of mind knowing that I don't have to be on all of the time or pouring my energy into the interwebs all of the time for my business to grow and scale. I feel like that's the most magical thing ever.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you so much, Kaye, once more. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you all soon and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.